three forms of the equation of the line. You have three different equations for a specific line on a coordinate plane. One can be in slope-intercept form, another is in point-slope form, and there's another that is standard form. Slope-intercept form, we just know is y equals mx plus b, which is what we're going to start with. So with this y equals mx plus b, you'll be given the y-intercept, which is the point 0 comma something. That something within that point gives you your b value, and then it gives you your slope as well. You'll also see this given 2 points that lie on the same line on a coordinate plane. One of those points, in fact, will be the y-intercept. So if we look at example 1, it tells us to find the equation of a line in slope-intercept form using that the line goes through the points 0, -6, and has a slope of -2. So from the 0, -6, that's our y-intercept, we get our b value. So b here is equal to -6, and our slope, which is m, is equal to -2. So we're just going to plug this into y equals mx plus b to get y equals -2x plus -6. Now, we do simplify that plus and minus next to each other, so it's just going to give us y is equal to -2x minus 6. If we are given the graph with a line on it, we can look at those 2 points and find the slope between those 2 points, as well as where that line crosses the the y-axis. This point that crosses that, or where that line crosses the y-axis, is the ordered pair 0, 3. So that's giving us our b value of 3. Now, to get your slope, you are going down 2 to the right 3. So that's -2 over 3. Plugging this into slope-intercept form, y equals mx plus b, we are going to have y is equal to -2/3 x plus 3. Example 2 tells us to find the slope and y-intercept of the line 3x minus 2y is equal to 5. Now this equation is in standard form. Standard form is just ax, so something times x, plus by, which is something times y, is equal to c, your constant. So with this, the only thing we have to do is resolve this equation for y in order to get our equation in slope-intercept form. So with this equation, we're going to move that 3x over by subtracting it first. So this is going to leave us with -2y is equal to -3x plus 5. We divide each side by that -2, and we get y is equal to 3 over 2x minus 5 over 2. You got to remember, when you're dividing each side by that -2, you're dividing the -3x by the -2 as well as the 5 divided by 2. So from here, we can just pull out our slope, which is the coefficient of x. So in this case, our slope is 3 over 2. We are also finding our y-intercept. Well, in this equation, b is equal to -5 over 2. So that's the ordered pair 0, -5 over 2. Your y-intercept will always be the ordered pair 0 something. So you can't just give b is equal to a number or y is equal to a number. It doesn't work that way. You have to actually give the ordered pair 0 comma something. For example 3, we look at this slope-intercept form equation in order to graph this line. The only thing we have to do is find 2 points where it goes through that y-axis, and then using our slope to find the next point, and then we draw our line through those 2 points. So with this one, it gives us a slope of 2/3. So we're going to go up 2 to the right 3 after we plot our y-intercept. B is equal to 1, so that means that our y-intercept is 0, 1. So at 0, 1, we plot our first point. From there, we go up 2 to the right 3, plot our next point. Now, you can use your slope to get through the rest of your coordinate plane to extend this line all the way through. And then you can also go the opposite. So instead of going up and to the right, we're going to go down and to the left. And then again, we have all of those ordered pairs that would fall on this coordinate plane, and we can just draw our line through it. You'll see with this line, I have arrows at the top and bottom, or the right and the left of this line. You need to have those arrows to represent that that line goes on for forever. Standard form is ax plus by is equal to c, like we said before. For example 4, we're writing the equation y is equal to 1/2 x minus 3/4 in standard form using only integers and a positive coefficient for x. So when you're working with standard form, your a and your b should be whole numbers and a should be positive. So if we look at this, we have y is equal to 1/2 x minus 3/4. Well, I want to get rid of my fractions first off. So when I get rid of my fractions, I'm going to multiply my entire equation by that least common denominator, which in this case is 4. So the 4 times y is 4y. The 4 times 1/2 x is 2x. And the 4 times negative 3/4 is just negative 3. Now, my x has to be positive. So I'm going to move this 4y over by subtracting it from each side. And then I'll move over that negative 3 to be put on the other side. So I'm going to have 2x minus 4y minus 3 is equal to 0. And then I just add the 3 to each side to get my x and my y together. And my constant on the other side. Remember that coefficient of x has to be positive, so that number in front of x must be a positive number. For point slope form, we have a point and the slope that we are working with. So this is just y minus y1, which is the y value from the ordered pair that we're working with, is equal to the slope times x minus x1. That x1 comes from the ordered pair that you're given. For example 5, we're finding an equation for the line through the ordered pair -2, 5 with a slope of -3. We solve it for y. So, working with this point slope form equation, y minus y1 is equal to m times x minus x1. We're going to have y minus, our y value is 5, is equal to our slope, which is -3, times x minus our x value, which is -2. Those two negatives next to each other turn into positives, so this is just y minus 5 is equal to -3 times x plus 2. We're going to distribute that -3 because, again, we have to solve for y now. So it's going to be y minus 5 is equal to -3x minus 6, and then we just add that 5 to each side, and we're left with y is equal to -3x minus 1. So this now is in slope-intercept form. So we used point-slope form to form our equation of that line and then rewrote it as slope-intercept form. For example 6, we're finding the equation of a line that's through the given points and solving for y. So we're finding the slope. We are going to use one of those points to plug it into point-slope form, and then we are putting it into slope-intercept form. So to find our slope first, we're going to do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So our slope is going to be 7 minus 5 over 4 minus 3. The 7 minus 5 is 2, 4 minus 3 is 1, so that slope is just 2. It does not matter which point you choose to work with. Preferably, for me, I choose the point that has the smaller values, only because I find it easier to work with smaller numbers. Do you have to do that? No. It's totally up to you which point you use. You're going to get the same answer regardless of the point that you use. So we're going to have point slope form. Y minus y1 is equal to our slope times x minus x1. So y minus, I'm going to use 3, 5. Y minus 5 is equal to 2 times x minus 3. We're going to solve this for y now. So I'm going to distribute the 2. So I'm going to have y minus 5 is equal to 2x minus 6. And then I add the 5 to each side and just have y is equal to 2x minus 1. For b, we're given the two ordered pairs 3, negative 2, and negative 1, 1. So to find our slope with these, we're going to do 1 minus negative 2 over negative 1 minus 3. The two negatives turn into positives. 1 plus 2 is 3. Negative 3 minus 3 is negative 4. So that's just negative 3/4. Plugging this into our point slope form, I'm going to use the negative 1, 1. So I'm going to have y minus 1 is equal to negative 3/4 times x minus negative 1. Those two negatives turn into positives. So I'm going to have y minus 1 is equal to negative 3/4 times x plus 1. I distribute the negative 3/4. So I have y minus 1 is equal to negative 3/4 x minus 3/4. From here, I'm going to move that 1 over by adding it to each side. I want to remember that in order for me to add or subtract fractions, I need like denominators. So I'm going to add 4 over 4 to that negative 3/4 since it is the same thing as 1. So I'm going to get y is equal to negative 3/4 x plus 1/4. In example 7, it tells us that in each case, find an equation for the line L and then solve for y. So A tells us that line L goes to the point 2, 0 and is parallel to the line that goes through 5, negative 1, and negative 1, 3. When we're working with parallel lines, we have the same slope as the line from before. In that case, we have that the line goes through 2, 0. So that's not our y-intercept, that's our x-intercept, but we can use that point and whatever the slope is from that point that goes through 5, negative 1, and negative 1, 3 to find the line and put it in point slope form. So I'm going to start this one by finding my slope between these 2 points, that 5, negative 1, and negative 1, 3. So I'm going to do 3 minus negative 1, which turns into 3 plus 1. That gives me 4 over negative 1 minus 5, which is negative 6. This in simplest form is negative 2/3, so my slope for my other line is going to be negative 2/3 as well. So using my 2, 0 and point slope form, I'm going to have y minus 0 is equal to negative 2/3 times x minus 2. I'm going to distribute that negative 2/3 to get y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 4/3. For example B, it tells us line L goes through negative 1, 6 and is parallel to the line through 2, 4, and 7, negative 11. So again, I'm going to find the slope between this 2, 4, and the 7, negative 11. I'm going to have m is equal to negative 11 minus 4 over 7 minus 2. I'm going to get negative 15 over 5, which is negative 3. So using that and my negative 1, 6, I'm going to have y minus 6 is equal to negative 3 times x minus negative 1. The two negatives turn into positives, so y minus 6 is equal to negative 3x. If I distribute the 3 at the same time, 3 times 1 is, negative 3 times 1 is a negative 3. From there, I'm just going to move this 6 over by adding it to each side. So y is equal to negative 3x plus 3. For example 8, it tells us to write an equation in standard form with an integral coefficients for the line L through 2, 5 that is perpendicular to the line 2x plus 3y is equal to 1. Perpendicular lines have opposite reciprocal slopes. So with this, we can solve this equation, this 2x plus 3y for y to get our slope. I would just move that 2x to the other side by subtracting it. I get 3y is equal to negative 2x plus 1, and then I'm going to divide everything on each side by that 3. So y is equal to negative 2/3 x plus 1/3. If we're working with perpendicular lines, that upside down capital T, which represents perpendicular, we're going to have a slope that is a positive 3 over 2. So we just take the reciprocal and opposite signs. So instead of it being negative, it's going to be positive, and then flip the fraction. I'm going through the point 2, 5. So again, I'm going to use point slope form. Y minus 5 is equal to 3 over 2 times x minus 2, and I'm going to solve it for y. From here, I'm just going to distribute in that 3 over 2, so y minus 5 is equal to 3 over 2x minus 3. I move that 5 over by adding it to both sides, and I get y is equal to 3 over 2x plus 2.